What's up, everybody? This is my week 3 check-in. So ending last week, I ended with body weight right around 223 pounds, um, up 2 pounds from the previous week. We'll get into why, I think that is later. Blood pressure was in there anywhere from 117 to systolic to 130 systolic. Average in there was like most days it was like 122, 120. And then diastolic remained like a consistent 74. So super happy with that. All good with that. As far as my sleeping goes, my sleeping last week was a little off. Sleep was more of like my daughter kept coming in the middle of the night, things like that. And I was a little more sensitive to waking up. Um, but aside from that, once I got good sleep, holy cow, it just makes a big difference. Last night, uh, I slept so good last night, and I just felt so good today. Back felt good, my knees felt good. It just felt like energized and ready for the day. So let's see. As far as like workouts go, workouts have been pretty good. Today was an epic workout. Today I felt incredible working out. So really hoping that trend keeps up. It felt really good. Last week workouts were kind of okay. I tried to reintroduce some sprinting, and boy, that jacked my back up big time, which was really embarrassing for me to say. Jogging and stuff is fine. Long distance is fine, but sprinting, for whatever reason, I was also on a turf field. Maybe that's why. It was not good, but feeling a lot better now. So now addressing the weight. I actually talked to a friend of mine who told me he thinks that, some of this could be water weight, maybe due to aromatizing, which if you don't know what that is, go look it up. This is not, I'm not going to go through all that right now. But that can hold water weight, especially like in the face and things like that. So I think, that actually made me, I had to think about it for a little bit. I was like, oh, wow, could it be like this? And then I actually settled on, I think he was right. I think he's right about that. So my next blood work is April 8th. And from there, I will kind of have some more answers as to where the blood work is, which I will obviously post that on the Instagram channel. I'll probably post them on here too. I probably should do that. I should figure out how to do that. So I'll work on that. I also was traveling all weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were in the car total of right around 12, 13 hours or so, which I noticed a major difference. It was really cool to see. I powered through those drives like it was nothing. Like the energy was great. I never felt tired or fatigued from it as far as like mentally goes. I was very alert, which was awesome. Which if you've driven out in West Texas, like it gets windy out there. And it got really windy, blowing all over the road. We even had snow. it even was snowing out there. So that was good. I was really pleased to see that happen. We ate out all weekend. I mean, at least 2 meals a day. We ate out good food. So I think that's why my weight was up too, up 2 more pounds to 223, was from eating out. We had Italian food, we had Tex-Mex, we had everything. Just you name it, we probably had it. Cake, desserts, cinnamon rolls, the whole 9 yards. So good reason why weight could be up today. Not too worried about that right now. I'm back on my typical 25 to 2,700 calorie diet. So we'll see how we respond this week. We have a lot of family and stuff in town coming in this week as well. So it's going to be another hectic weekend, but I'm excited to see nonetheless how I respond in these situations. Another thing I want to cover is traveling with your injections. I recommend really planning out, which is a downside, I believe, to being on TRT or any peptides or anything like that, is you have to plan when you're going around, like with your injections, because some of these things, like for example, like the Sermorelin that I take, it's apparently very easy to destabilize the peptide. So you can't really shake it or anything like that, or else it can destabilize. So I do my injection schedule Sunday through Thursday, which means Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday up until Sunday night, I'm good. So that made it easier not to travel with that one. But traveling with the testosterone, I did have to deliver an injection to myself on Sunday morning, which again, whenever you have kids around, family members around, you don't want to advertise your business. So I recommend you really take care of getting storage for your vials and really your needles, and have a plan for what you're doing with your needles after you use them. I use it's a Downy. It's like a fragrance. You put it in the washer with your clothes, and it makes them smell better. I use an empty one of those. That's my Sharps container, and I wrote all over it. Fly. That's my initials. Fly Sharps. That was so nobody hopefully would touch it, and I still try and keep it out of sight. That way, so nobody has to see it. That's kind of how I travel with those. It was okay, it was fine. Just you're conscious of it, and that does kind of stink at times. And I think the more you take, so if you're someone that has 2 or 3 different vials, that would get super annoying. So I recommend thinking about that. The last thing I want to address on this particular video is going back to the beginning. If you are someone who is thinking about getting on TRT, I really want or would encourage you to think about what are you okay living with? For example, what I mean by that is, I feel like it's becoming more and more apparent that there's a lot of doctors who are not comfortable with TRT or peptides or anything like that, because it's kind of like this weird, it went through years of demonizing TRT. I mean, heck, whenever I was a kid, creatine in my mind was a steroid. We found out a kid was taking creatine, and we thought, oh my goodness, he's going to be juiced to the gills. Now, obviously not the case, but I still think we have a lot of this, TRT is this big enemy. And it's really not. But at the same time, if your doctor is not comfortable with it, I recommend you find someone who is. And why I say that is because, for me, I've been noticing, my skin's been a little red, around the neck and chest and things like that. Maybe other little parts of me seem a little bit more red than normal. And there is a risk of a condition that is called polycythemia vera. Now, I'm not saying that I have that or anything of the sorts, but it is a risk that some people can have. I also was told the other day that I was snoring really bad. And granted, I was very congested because there was a rapid pressure change in the Metroplex with some weather that came through. I'm still a little congested right now, actually. You can probably hear it. But with those things, you have to remember that there's risks of polycythemia vera, which is where your blood and your red blood cells, they'll thicken, making it more viscous, meaning you have an increased risk for blood clots, strokes, things like that, heart attacks, myocardial infarction, things like that. Also, you have the risk of developing sleep apnea. These are very big deals because sleep apnea is a real concern. People do die from it if they don't use the proper equipment and things like that and take the proper measures to help themselves. I do know bodybuilders that develop sleep apnea because of how much of these drugs they're consuming. Now, the caveat to that is, and this is why I go back to addressing the doctor concern, is this. From what I've read, heard, listened to, spoke with my doctor about, is a lot of those concerns are very unlikely if you are taking a reasonable dose. Now, some people underdose. They take a very small amount of testosterone and they don't receive a lot of benefit from it. I don't recommend that, and again, not that I'm the one giving medical advice here, but I'm just saying I would talk to your doctor about that. Why would I do too small of a dose? If you're going to take it, especially if you're really struggling with the anxiety, the depression, the motivation, and things like that, underdosing is not going to probably do you a whole lot of good. But you also don't want to go the other opposite side and take too much of it, because then you get the real risk of those conditions, which most of them do not happen if you take a reasonable dose. What's a reasonable dose? That's one you have to talk to your doctor about. It appears, I've heard a common consensus among doctors who do a lot of TRT seems to be somewhere between 100 to 150 milligrams a week. Some don't have to go that high. It really depends on where you're at. And that's why you have to have a good doctor to do this with. If your doctor is not comfortable, I cannot stress enough, please, please, please do not do it, because they will either ineffectively dose you too small, or they could dose you too high and increase your risks. I don't think a lot of doctors would go too high. I don't see that happening, but I can see a lot of doctors that might go too low, and then you just don't get the benefit that you could be getting from it. And that goes without saying. One of the biggest risk I got worried about is infertility. I'm 30. I got plans on having more kids. I got one right now, one in the oven that's due in August. I got plans for more. And again, I know I talked about it in the intro video, but that's a real decision that you have got to work with your spouse on. And, you know, praise God, my wife was like, look, I would rather you be the best father, the best version of yourself that you can be, so that, you know, even if you become infertile, we can still use measures like adopt and things like that. But if you are continuing down this path of the brain fog, the anxiety, you cannot function in public, the withdrawal, the social isolation, like, then what good? Like, you're not optimizing yourself for our kids, and they suffer because of that, you know? And so, you know, I recommend really thinking long and hard about this, and it can be really confusing and stressful. It was for me, which is why I'm doing this channel, is because I hope to show over time, we're only 3 weeks in, but I'm hoping to show through time how this goes, good or bad. You're going to see all of it. So anyways, follow-up blood work, April 8th. I'll be posting that. I'll try and get all my blood work posted here on YouTube somehow. If you would mind, please like the video, subscribe, send this to somebody. Send this to a guy out there who you know might be struggling, who is even just considering this. You know, there's a lot of celebrities and bodybuilders and all these awesome people out there that are doing this, but that doesn't really apply to the average guys who, you know, don't have all the resources in the world, right? So I'm trying to give the average guy perspective, and I hope it helps. So anyways, that's it for me tonight. All right. Peace, everybody.